Here's an example of an email that has been automatically logged against a Clio Manage matter as soon as it landed in your Gmail or Outlook inbox. The system has identified the sender of the email and found an open matter associated with the client. It then created a communication with all the information about the email, such as the subject line and the body of the email, whom it was sent by, to whom it was sent, the date and time of the communication, and any attachments that were related to that email, also uploading them in the Documents tab on that matter. Additionally, it has created a default time entry for the processing of that email. This is all the features that you'd expect if you're using the Clio Manage Gmail or Outlook add-on. The big difference here is that this process was fully automated and no human input was required whatsoever. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create an automation just like this for your practice. Hi, this is Martin from Automation for Lawyers. For over 3 years now, my team and I have been helping growing law firm owners make the best use of their legal tech tools, like Clio. We optimize practices so their systems help free up the time of their attorneys and paralegals instead of slowing them down. Let's actually now dive into the automation and see how it's set up. Whenever you get a new email in your Gmail or Outlook inbox, and this could be a start of a new conversation, already an existing conversation, just a follow-up to an existing thread, the system will look up all the information about the email, such as the sender, the body, the attachments, and the subject line, and then they'll go to your Clio Manage account and look up the contact of that sender by their email address. If it finds one, it will then look up any of the open matters related to that client. It would take the most recent open matter and create an email communication, an email log on their file, putting in all the information about the email, the from, the to, the date and time, the subject and the body, and as well attaching any files that were present in the email. Additionally, if you want that, it can also create an automatic time entry, let's say of 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever your default is, and add it to the matter as well. Now, apart from that, it will also upload the document to the attachments over here, so they're also always available on your matter. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you how you can do this with two different automation platforms. One, the one you probably heard about, Zapier, which will be a bit more simple due to some of the restrictions of the platform, but also faster to set up. And another one on make.com, which will allow us for full flexibility and replicating the functionality of the Clio Manage Gmail and Outlook add-on. If you're not a techie, don't worry. I actually created templates for both the Zapier and make.com automations that I'll be showing in this video. Setting them up on your account will just take a few minutes and will require minimal technical knowledge. If you want to access them, head over to the first link down below and join our legal automation community on School. Apart from getting access to all of the templates, any past and future ones, you'll also be able to ask my team and I any questions that you have about automation and interact with other growing law firm owners to talk about legal tech. Let's now walk through the Zapier automation setup. Again, as I mentioned, it is a bit more simplistic, but it does the job. The trigger will be a new email. In here, if you're using Outlook, what you would need to do is simply go into the setup over here and then change the app to Outlook and then authenticate. The trigger will be a new email coming in. It will be checked every 2 minutes in the case of Zapier. And then you can also here configure if you want this to be triggered on all the emails coming to your account, or only when a specific label is applied to them. In this case, I've selected that it will be done for all the emails coming in. After that, the next step is finding the client matter. Zapier has a special action for that, find newest matter by client email. In the configuration, we are adding the client email being the from email of the sender in the trigger. And if nothing is found, then we will not consider this step a success, i.e. the next steps will not be executed. In case that a matter is found, we will create a new communication, i.e. an email log inside of Clio Manage. In the configuration over here, we are attaching this communication to the matter ID found in the previous step, right here. The date of communication will be the date of the trigger. Subject and body will be the same. In the body, we're using the body plain version because otherwise we'll have the HTML will have a lot of extra symbols that we don't need. So we're just using the text version of the email. The type of communication will be an email communication. The other option here is a phone. The recipient will be whatever the user is of the email trigger that we have set up over here, so in this case myself. And lastly, the sender will be a contact, a client contact, and the contact sender ID will be the client ID of the matter that was found in step 2, to which we'll associate this communication. And then the last step will be creating a time entry, i.e. an activity. In here, in the activity category, for now I left this blank, but you can also define a special activity category for any time entries, time expenses that are related to emails. You can do so if you go into activities in your Clio Manage and then click new category, and you can define a special category, for example, for any emails. In the description, you can put whatever you want, but in this case, I'm just putting the email subject. The date is again the date of the trigger. The time in minutes would be whatever the default time in your firm is in terms of assigning and processing emails. This one you should specify in minutes, so let's say 10 minutes. And then in the price, if you leave it blank, it will use whatever the default hourly rate of the user to whom this time entry will be assigned to is. Additionally, you can define a fixed rate as well over here if you so prefer. We are then also attaching it to the matter and then also attaching the user to whom this time entry should be assigned to. Now, let's run this and see how it looks like in Clio Manage. A new email has just come into my inbox, this email number 3. And if we now head over to Zapier, in here, there's a button for viewing any of the Zap runs. So we can see that it was a success. The email was correctly processed. A matter was found, as you can see over here. We then created the communication and then the time entry as well. Let's head over to Clio and see how that looks like. So first of all, in the communications tab, we have the matter with the time, the email with the time, the subject and the body, and also the recipient and the sender. The one limitation here of the Zapier automation is that it doesn't then attach any of the files that were present in the email, any of the attachments. So as you can see, there's nothing over here. And also additionally, the time entry activity that we have created is indeed on the case, as you can see over here, with all the correct rates and assigned as well to myself, but it is not as well linked to the communication itself. It is visible in the matter, but not linked to the communication, which is again another limitation of Zapier, simply in the connector with Clio Manage. If you want that full functionality that replicates the functioning of the Gmail or Outlook add-on, then we do really need to use another automation platform called make.com. It has a more flexible connector to Clio Manage, which means that we can build a more advanced automation like this, which includes all the attachments and uploads them to the matter, and also then does all the linking in between time entries and communications. No worries though, I will walk you through it step by step. So first of all, for the trigger, we have a new email coming from Gmail. Again, can be replaced to Outlook. As well in Zapier, we can choose from which folder we'll be going to retrieving the emails. If we're going to be retrieving all emails or just unread ones, and the maximum number of results per run. This automation is set now to run every 15 minutes, but this can be changed to run every 60 minutes, every 2 minutes, whatever you want. The only caveat here is that Make does charge you for every time that the trigger runs, unlike Zapier. So I recommend not setting this to too of a low value, just to make sure that you don't waste your credits. Now, for each email that we're gonna get here, all the future steps will be run once for each email. The first step that I do is just add a sleep of 5 seconds. We are interacting a lot with the Clio Manage system here, so just to make sure that there are no timeouts, no errors, I have added this small delay. before we start processing the email. The next step is actually finding the contact. Clio Manage doesn't have an action like this, find newest matter by client email. However, it has a bit more flexible version of that. So we are looking up any contacts that are clients that have an email and whose email is the email address of the sender. We are then also making sure to filter them out just for persons, i.e. not company contacts. And we are only returning one because we want to find, I would imagine that you would only have one contact with an email address. We then have a small filter which just checks that the contact was found. In case it wasn't found, then the next steps will not continue. And then we are finding all the open matters for that particular person. We can either just get one of them, the most recent one, for example, or in case you actually want to log the same email against multiple matters, that is also possible with the setup over here in make.com. So we are looking up any matters that have the contact ID of the contact that we found here in step 3. We are then also ordering them by descending order of created ad, i.e. if you have multiple matters, it will just get the most recent one. Making sure that the status is set to open. And in here in limit, we can again either just get one, or if you want the email to be logged against multiple, you can increase this, for example, to 10. And so that will simply mean that any of the future, again, steps will be run once for each matter of that particular client. We are then creating the actual communication, the email log. Again, similar setup to Zapier, type email communication, the subject, the body. We are also adding the body HTML here, which will just give it a bit more flexibility in terms of how it's viewed. Also, a cool thing is in Clio Manage, we can add these external properties. These won't be visible in the interface, but will be possible to retrieve using the API, using any automations. Just in case, for example, we are collecting emails from multiple email addresses and we want to make sure that we don't create any duplicates, right, of them in the system. This can be very useful. So for example, in this case, I'm saving the Gmail message ID in this external properties array. After that, we're connecting it to the matter that we found in the previous step. The received ad will be the date of the email. The receivers, again, will be whatever user we connected the Gmail account to or Outlook account to, and also connecting it to the contact. So we now created the communication. The next two things that we need to do is 1, create the time entry, and 2, upload any of the attachments and again associate them with that email log. Now this element over here is called router. It will essentially run all of the different routes that it has in a predefined order. So for example, first this one and then this one, once this one finishes executing. You can also in each route, you can add some filters. So for example, for the time entry, if we are logging the email against multiple matters, I actually set it so that it only does it for the first matter. And this can be done by using this bundle order position key found in the second action over here, second module. It will let us know which bundle we are processing in terms of order. And so I just set it to 1, i.e. meaning only the first matter will be added the time entry, and then for the other matters, it won't add a new time entry to them. Obviously we don't want to be logging the same email twice as a cost for the client. So we are creating an activity in here. The date again is the date of the email. The type is time entry. The other options are expense, hard cost, soft cost entry. The quantity in this case is actually in seconds. In Zapier it was in minutes, so 600 seconds meaning 10 minutes. We are associating it to a matter, and the matter ID is the one we found previously. And for the note, I'm just adding again the subject, similar to what we did in Zapier. Now, in here, in associated type, you also have the option of connecting it to the communication directly. I have tried that, and the issue that happens there is that, yes, indeed, it connects to the communication, but then it is not visible under the activities tab in the matter, which is obviously not great. In here, I'm attaching it to the matter directly, and then as a second step, I'm using this custom API call, which is something that we cannot do for now in Zapier, associating the time entry to the communication. And so essentially what it's doing, this is all found in the API reference of Clio Manage, but essentially what we are doing is we are updating the activity that we've just created, and we are attaching it to a communication of ID, a particular ID, and that is coming from this module number 4, where we created the communication. After this is done, the next route will be for uploading the attachments. And so this also has quite a flexible system where, first of all, it would go into the documents over here and see if there is an attachment folder, right? Because we don't just want to drop all the documents in the main folder, really. It will first see if there is an attachments folder. If there isn't one, it will create it. And once it has been created or found, then we'll upload the actual file over here. So again, we are using a custom API call over here for getting the folders of the particular matter. We are passing the matter ID over here, and we are outputting the ID and the name of the folder. So the output that we get over here looks something like this. We are then setting the folder ID in a variable. This is needed because we kind of have two scenarios here. One is it has already been found, and another one, it actually needs to be created. And so to account for that scenario, we need to set it in a variable. And this variable uses this feature called inline functions in make. In this case, it takes this array of all the folders, it extracts their ID, and it filters by the name of attachments, right? And then gets the first element of that array. So in case the attachments folder already exists, this function will return the ID of that folder. And in case it doesn't exist yet, then this will be empty. And so then we have a router, and we have this filter for whenever a folder is not found, i.e. the folder ID doesn't exist. When it doesn't exist, then we create a folder that's already built in action of Clio Manage. We are naming it attachments. We are connecting it to our matter. And then we are setting the folder ID to the ID that we got from the output of this action over here. After that, we are getting the folder ID. This again can be either the one that we created over here, or in case it was already found, it will just come from this module over here. And then we are iterating on the attachments that we got from our trigger. This is not really a function that's available in Zapier. So again, that's why I use make for this. We are iterating all the attachments, and then for each attachment, it will upload the attachment and then associate it to the communication. So for uploading attachment, we are using again a built-in action. We are just taking the file name from this iterator. We are uploading it to the folder ID that we got over here. The actual file is again coming from the iterator, the file name, the content type, all coming from here. We are setting the document category to email attachment, but you can set it to whatever you want. Again, we have these external properties which we can make use of, for example, the Gmail content ID, and when it was received. Now, after that is done, we are using, again, a custom call. We are updating the document that we have just created, and we are associating it to a communication ID over here. And so let's test this out with this latest email that we have just received. Let's click run once. It will sleep for 5 seconds, and then after that start executing. It creates a time entry. The folder was already existed, so it didn't create a new one, and then uploaded the attachment. Let's head over to Clio, refresh. And as you can see, we have our email over here with all the necessary details. As you can see, it also then has the attachment, and it has the recorded time entry as well associated, which we didn't get with Zapier. All right, so as you can see, it has the attachment, has the recorded time. If we go to the activities, we can also see this new entry over here. And then if you go to the documents, into attachments, we will see that as well the attachment has been correctly uploaded over here. And another two important things to mention that would differentiate, first of all, this automation from the add-on is that the original email files are not uploaded automatically to the matter as you would have with add-on. It's not a huge issue because you can still access them if needed on your Gmail or Outlook account directly if you ever need them. But that's something to consider. They can also be automated, but it will be a bit of a more complex automation, so decided not to include it here. And then the second thing is this automation works for one specific user account. So if you have multiple team members that you want to enable this for, you'll need to replicate this automation, reauthorize essentially this Gmail step over here, and also the Clio Manage connection to make sure then those all emails are monitored. Obviously, if you then have something like a team at email, then it's a bit easier to manage because it's just one single source, one single inbox. But that's again something to have in mind. As I mentioned at the start of this video, I created free templates for both of these automations in Zapier and in make.com. You can access them and all the past and future templates by following the link down below on this video. You'll also then get access to the Q&A with my team and I, and be able to mingle with like-minded growing law firm owners. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, if you have any issues, suggestions, please let me know on LinkedIn. That is the best way to reach me. And if you have any issues with importing the templates, I'll actually be releasing soon as well a few videos on the channel showcasing step-by-step how you can do so in Zapier and then how you can do so in make.com. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and that this will save you and your team some time. Thank you.